afternoon, everybody. I'm back again. Wasn't that good just now? With Carl Graham, brilliant, really, really good. Just waiting for Joe Dodds, and should be with us shortly. And we can carry on what we were doing. Um, don't forget, guys, leave your messages in the right hand column and the left hand column, and and yeah. So please do that for me, and I'll be so grateful. Thank you. We're just waiting for Joe, if you can, please. Okay. She shouldn't be long now. Hopefully. And if you want to watch Carl Graham's repeat video, that's on our YouTube. Don't forget, guys, go on our YouTube and have a look. It's Crossroads Podcast UK YouTube, and you've got all the shows on there and everything. And we're doing quite well with the YouTube. Also, made it more prettier the other day. Put some more stuff on there, and not yet. Um, and yeah, so made it really pretty. So getting we're getting better on that. Won't be long. We're just waiting. Here you go. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Yeah. Why I asked you to come back for, Joe, is because I wanted to talk to you about a few things about your website, and also there was something on here that caught my eye about um, you were um, where was it? See, sorry about this.
Right, don't worry. I'm just
I had it.
turning.
I had it just now. It says here, I defined living more as getting to do more of what you want to do and less of the stuff that you don't want to do, and doing that whilst running your successful business.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's out there right now and they want to do their own business, what makes a successful business for somebody?
Well, if you think about the living more concept, it's got to be the business that you want, that enables you to do the things that you want. So many people start a business because they want flexibility and freedom and all that sort of thing, and then end up working ridiculous hours and not having any of the things that they wanted when they first started. So for me, it's about being really clear about what you want, what that business, that successful business looks like to you, and then making sure it happens. So for some people, it might be lots of money. For some people, it might be lots of opportunity to speak a lot or to create content or whatever. It's doing the things that you actually enjoy doing, so that you enjoy running your business and it becomes successful whilst getting to live more, as I said.
All right, okay. And also, you kind of like specialize in social media. Um, what do you do? What do you do? Because I wanted to get you on because last time we didn't talk very much about this side, and I just wanted to kind of like let everybody know what you actually do.
So, to be honest, it's less about social media nowadays. That's what I did in the early days of social media. Now it's much more about productivity, and that's productivity across all parts of business. So that obviously does touch on social media and how you operate in that way, but also all sorts of things like how do you, I don't know, how do you run a podcast? How do you make sure that you service your customers well? How do you make sure that you are doing things in the most efficient and effective way?
Okay, how do I run? So this is a good challenge for you. This is a good challenge. So how do I run a podcast?
Well, my answer to most people with all of these
Come on,
questions,
come on, come on. You
oh,
know,
it all comes down to what suits you and what is the right way to run it for you. So you're running it through running live interviews with people. That's not what I do. I run my podcast through Zoom recorded interviews with people, and then I publish it sort of in the future. And I have a big process around that, which works for me. What works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. And also, I think when you start doing something, I don't know how much things have changed for you since you started doing this, but honing things, changing things, improving things as you start working through and realizing it's not quite what you wanted, or it's not quite working in the way that you wanted, is really important as well.
Right. Okay. Okay. Um, the trouble is, though, everybody does things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will kind of like record their own stuff. Some people will go live. I like to go live because then it's better for me. And but that's just different.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other people out there do recordings. I've done recordings, for Anchor and all that lot. And the trouble is, what is the best way? It's the best way using as I don't mind taking criticism because I'm learning. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's the best way? Zoom, StreamYard, or Facebook?
Well, I feel like a lawyer. It's always, it depends. It depends on what you want. So as I said, I record mine and edit mine, and so for me, Zoom works really well. I don't like doing live, so I don't do Facebook lives. But if people like doing those, then they can be a really good way of building community and engagement in the moment with people. StreamYard's a great tool for broadcasting.
Mm.
It's really good quality, and the fact that you can get people to up on the screen, or you can move people around, you can put slides in, and all that sort of stuff can be really useful too. And obviously, if you have a podcast where you have visuals, then you can put the podcast onto YouTube and get the audience that are in there as well. It's not something that I do. I prefer audio only, so I record audio only. I don't use in fact, I get my guests to turn their cameras off, which sometimes traumatizes them. But it's how I like to
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, that's totally fine. But the trouble is, we all have our different styles, don't we? We all
Yeah,
do different,
exactly.
Um, about about your network, you say I'm a natural networker.
Hmm.
What's that
So,
about?
when I started my business 16 years ago, I built it through networking. I published local magazines, and it was really hard to sell advertising by phoning people, or doing the sort of usual sales pitch, if you like, because people saw a lot of that stuff as being scammy and so on. In fact, I had one person who phoned me once asking for to place an ad, and I couldn't get back to them on the phone because their gatekeeper wouldn't let me through the phone call. They kept sort of saying, no, they're not available, they're not available. And I kept saying, they do want to speak to me. So I went out networking and sold my advertising through meeting people and getting recommendations and providing a great product as well. But what I realized a few years later was that actually I always have networked. I went to a school reunion, and there were about 50 people there who, none of whom were my close friends at school, but I knew all of them, and I knew enough about all of them to go and have a separate conversation with them all at this reunion sort of 20 years later. And it made me realize, thinking back, that I networked my way around school. I had my close group of friends, but actually I knew most people, and I knew stuff about most people because I'd taken that time to build those relationships. And what do I do as a natural networker? The first thing I think about when I talk to anybody is, how can I help them, or who can I connect them to, or what resource can I recommend to them that might help them with whatever they're looking for help for, rather than thinking, how can I sell to them, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, yeah. And so somebody wanted to talk to you
Mm-hmm.
about they book you for an event and everything. All right. What do they need to do?
Well, they can go to my website, and there's various bits of information on there, including forms to complete to request a conversation, and then I use automated booking into my diary to schedule meetings with people. So I teach automation, and obviously I automate my business too. You can't teach what you don't do yourself, can you?
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm mentioning all this.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's my fault. The last time when we were on,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I had two people contact me, and I gave them your number because they wanted for you to speak at their event. and I was, um, and gladly, what it was, they left me a phone number, but it wasn't the proper phone number,
Uh-huh.
right? And you got to be careful on here. So, and now they have given me their phone number. So what I will do, I will pass that on to like in this video.
Lovely.
But,
Please do. Yeah.
so I really, really do apologise for that. I really do. Um, the when you're kind of like doing keynote speaking and everything, is
Mhm.
that various topics?
Over the years, yes, I as well as doing the online marketing stuff that I do, I worked in a more corporate space. I still work with the Engage for Success movement about employee engagement. So I've done keynote talks about employee engagement. I've also spoken about social media in the past, less so now. It's more productivity now, as I said. And it's one of the things that I really enjoy doing. You could set me in front of a few hundred people and just ask me to speak on any of those topics, and I'd just get on with it.
Well,
It's
actually we have got to down to kind of like to do a something for us in Birmingham, which we've sent you a message about. So you probably get that today. So
Mhm,
we've got a big conference coming up, and we're looking for people to
mhm.
to come along. And um, what was going to say, what was the other question? Oh yeah, power to live more. That's your podcast, isn't it?
It's the name of my business and my podcast.
And
And
what kinds of people do you get on your podcast?
so the podcast is aimed at home-based coaches and consultants. So I often have a home-based coach and consultant or somebody who works with those people, or sometimes just interesting people who've got an interesting story about why they do what they do, and also something to say about how they do what they do, because obviously I'm talking about productivity and getting things done in a simple way with ease. And as I say, using things like automation and outsourcing and that sort of thing. So those are the sorts of things that we talk about on the podcast.
Okay, great. And last question here. It says here, what does it say? This one here. Sorry about this. Um, when you kind of like, it says here, I'd love to talk about what matters to you, what questions you have, and
Mm-hmm.
find out how I can help.
Mm-hmm.
You, I was this is our second time having a chat, but you come across as a woman who knows what you want. Is that right?
I would hope so. It's hard to get what you want if you don't know what you want. And in fact, that's one thing I do talk about in my uh, Simplify Fundamental, which is that often people don't really know what they want. So actually getting that and arranging your life around that is quite hard because you haven't sort of worked that bit out. So
That's
yes, I do.
that's why I mentioned it for us. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry about that, Joe. um, but the trouble is, some people, they don't know what they want, do they? Really, they go around with their heads down and they're thinking, right, okay, what do I want? And they can't get their head around it. Do you agree?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes people have not really thought it through, or if they have, they've got a bit stuck. Um, but I think the comment that you've just read out about me sort of helping people with what they have issues with is sort of how I work with my clients. It's about meeting them where they're at. I could say, this is what you must do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, follow this process. But actually,
Yeah.
people are all at different stages in their business and they need different help depending on what stage they're at. I've been in business 16 years. I've done, loads of different things. And I know that mostly I can sort of jump in wherever those people are and help them with whatever it is they need at the time. So it's not a sort of preordained program, if you like. It's where are you stuck, and I'll help you.
Okay. Before we go, Luke wants to ask a question. Luke's saying, if I want to start my own business,
Mm-hmm.
how do I get on? How do I how do I do it? That's what he's saying, really. How
So
do you start his own business?
yeah, so have a think first about the things that you're good at, the things that you enjoy. Think about the things that people are prepared to pay for, and try and make those two things or those three things overlap, so that you're thinking about starting a business that you are going to really enjoy, that you're good at, but also that people are prepared to pay for or pay something
Brilliant.
for the service.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. Joe, as always, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I will be in touch with you today with those phone numbers for you.
Lovely.
Thank you,
Have a
Joe.
good
Thank
day.
you. Bye
Bye.
bye.